Hello, my darlings. It's Thursday, or whenever you're listening to it, let's just pretend it's Thursday. Lots of pop culture this week. We are going through politics and sports and mainstream and some content, and we're going to do it really, really quickly. So buckle up, grab some candy, and maybe your headphones. And it's Pop Culture Mondays on Thursdays, and it's me, Brooke. Hi, guys. We have to do it fast. I have to keep this tight, honestly, because also who wants to listen to like an hour and a half podcast of me just talking? I do want to start thinking about different ways we can mix up the podcast. So I'd love to hear from you. Is it interviews? Is it a different style with the video? I mean, a majority of people are listening on audio, and we're creeping up in terms of subscribers on YouTube, but it's still fun to record on video, and I like to use the snaps. But I would love to hear from you guys. So hit me up on Instagram. I'm at Brooke, Brooke. Hit me up at email, brooke.hammerling@gmail.com. I want to keep it going. I want Live Nation to be really proud of this podcast since they are our sponsor. So I'd love to hear from you what we can do to mix it up. But before we get on, as always, please share with your friends, like, subscribe. As they all say, it really does help me, help this podcast, and I want to keep doing it because it's so much fun. Why is it so much fun? I live in the world of tech. I mean, if some of you, I know a lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. I'm not just in tech. Like, I have a communications advisory. We work with some of the most incredible founders, big companies, small companies, really, really fascinating companies, media companies as well. I worship at the altar of Michael Rapino. But I mean, some of it is super tech. Like, I am in it. I am talking about different chips and GPUs versus RDUs. And I am talking about biotech and biodefense and how you can combat AI-built diseases and toxins with technology using AI and so forth. So it's pretty crazy how deep in tech I can get. And I'm talking data centers. I'm talking people's dislike of data centers. I'm talking about the energy sources of data centers. There's a lot. I'm talking quantum computing and the promise of quantum. So you have to understand that when I can escape and turn my brain off from that for a minute and absorb something that just, it actually helps me think more clearly, that's pop culture. That's the pop culture I write about and talk about. It's also the pop culture I don't write or talk about that much. Like, I'm a Bravo girl. I'm a Housewives girl. I definitely catch up on all of the different reality shows that I can. I watch a lot of TV in terms of keeping in touch with what everybody's talking about. I go to the movies. Like, it is my escape. I know that I talk a lot about my dogs. They're amazing. They're wonderful. But like, I am really unwinding when I get into sort of what's happening in the culture. And that can cross into all these different categories. And it's politics, and it's sports, and it's lifestyle, and it's fashion, and it's tech. So we do cover a lot of territory. So that's just a little bit about how we get here and why I love doing what I do and why this is not a business for me as much as it's just a passion. My business is also my passion, but different. This week, wow, the newsletter covered a lot of ground. We're going to talk about some of that in case you missed the newsletter and just dive in. You get to hear my voice talk about it. And also just a couple things I didn't get into the newsletter. But first off, this week, we're just going to briefly touch on the fact that our girl, GP, Gwyneth Paltrow, actress, entrepreneur, founder of my favorite food delivery service in Los Angeles called Goop Kitchen, has given us another gift, a pop culture gift. She is literally always giving us something like every year. I mean, can we ever forget this moment?
Is it true that you feel it's unfair that Mr. Sanderson has brought this case against you?
I do.
And he has deterred you from enjoying the rest of what was a very expensive vacation?
Well, I lost half a day of skiing.
That's right. I mean, she missed a half a day of skiing, guys. It's still iconic. I love that she's a lifestyle girly now. She is a sort of, in the kitchen making up these dishes. She is a health guru, which I love because she is a girl I smoked a lot of cigarettes with in the 90s, among other things. Lots of cigarettes. She and I would smoke cigarettes. I mean, I loved cigarettes in the 90s, and she did too. A lot of people did. And I happened to be in a social circles with her at some point in time, and there were cigarettes shared. So now that she's this like lifestyle guru, is I love it. I do love it. We all evolve. I just posted on my Instagram, if you're not following me, I'm at Brooke, about my evolution. So we can all evolve. I've evolved. I think I have expressed it here before, but I posted a picture of my abs. I mean, it's so absurd, the fact that I'm doing this at all, let alone at 52. But the fact that I have abs at 52 is also extraordinary. And I talk about on my Instagram post the journey from my heart surgery, which has almost been 6 years ago now. It'll be 6 years in October, to where I am today, 40 pounds lighter. That is with the help of not only my nutritionist and my personal trainers and the people in the fitness world that have kicked my ass, my Pilates instructor, but it has also been with the help of GLP-1s, full disclosure, very open about that, as well as a little enhancing the areas that needed enhancing after a lot of weight loss. So anyway, if Gwyneth can be a lifestyle guru, I can be in the fitness world for a minute or two. But she gave us arugula is the new dairy. And that I am so grateful because the content was great. The creators went and created. But what happened was Gwyneth gets on the Today Show. She is cooking in the kitchen with Savannah, our girl Savannah Guthrie, and Carson Daly, who honestly, I had to read it like 8 times that this is actually Carson Daly because, he's not the Carson Daly that I remember, but that's fine. He's very talented. And she is making her turkey meatballs. They are on the menu at Goop Kitchen. They are delicious. And I don't know if she just was sort of like grasping at words to use, because I don't think she really intended it, but listen for yourselves.
If you want to avoid dairy, one trick that I do is I dice up arugula and I put it in.
Really?
It sounds weird, but it kind of adds like a nice texture to it, and it's delicious.
So a part of me is wondering if she didn't mean like substitute. Like, here's what I'm thinking. And I don't know what dairy goes into meatballs unless it's Parmesan cheese, which I don't even know if that's considered dairy, the Parmesan cheese. Well, I'm sure it is. But maybe she was saying like substitute Parmesan cheese with arugula to get a little texture. I'm not quite sure what she's saying, but the idea that you could replace dairy, like instead of milk or eggs, which is what she's sort of saying, you would add arugula. And honestly, it gave us some funny TikToks in particular, so take a look.
Oh, hello, it's me, Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm just picking some fresh dairy replacements for my charcuterie board. Smells just like Gouda. If you're in the mood for a French brie, this is a great replacement. Tastes just like it. Oh my god, I can't even tell. Am I eating manchego or ricotta? Basil, what? It's the same thing as cheese!
Hi, GP here. I received a lot of questions around what I shared on the Today Show.
If you want to avoid dairy, one trick that I do is I dice up arugula and I put it in.
Really?
Oh, this is my favorite ice cream. There are a lot of substitutions that I use. There's broccoli for chocolate. Asparagus for donuts. There's grass for pie. Oh, just a little cheese and cracker. Except Brussels sprouts for bread, mixed greens instead of cookies. Oh, iceberg lettuce for creme brulee. Spinach as potato chips. It's Rocky Road ice cream. I'm so bad. Comment your questions below.
I talk about arugula. I have to think about my friends across the pond who refer to it as rocket, which is honestly more fun. I mean, arugula, arugula, arugula. It's fun to say, but rocket, like it to me is, it just hits different when you're like, I want something with rocket. It's the same thing for anybody who has not been in England or Europe. If you hear somebody refer to rocket, that's arugula. And now if you go there and you see a menu and it's like pizza with rocket, you understand what that is. But it also is sparked controversy for ridiculous reasons because it allows people to get really upset and to say that like Gwyneth is perpetuating a false narrative and so forth and so on. Guys, just have fun. Just have fun. Do what Goop, the brand, did, and they leaned into it, where they put out on their Instagram the fact that some of their favorite cookies are with a cup of arugula. So here's just a little bit of what they've posted on their Instagram. And have fun with it. It's fun. We need fun in our lives. The other stuff that we talked about, there are two different sports things happening right now. And I was just talking with Joe, one of my producers, before we started recording, and he was saying that New York right now is on fire. It is the energy since the Knicks won their division and have gone into the NBA Finals. The Knicks have not won a championship since 1973. To put that into perspective, I was born in 1974. I'm like, it's older than me. It's been longer than I've been alive. And I think about my poor dad who loved basketball. And I can't believe that the Knicks never won anything during his passion of basketball, which sort of came about the time I was born. So mid-70s until he died in 98. So yeah, nothing. And the San Antonio Spurs are now going to be playing them. And they've much more recently won a championship. I can't believe, by the way, I feel like I'm an expert now. Like I start coming to me with like, what are the stats of players? I got you because of my boyfriends, Claude and Gemini. But they won, I think, the last championship in 2014. I'm very familiar with the Spurs because I had a roommate in boarding school who claimed to have been dating one of these team members. Nobody now. This was back in the early 90s. And I just remembered that was really inappropriate because we were like 16. But who's to say what was true and what was not? Anyway, we have a big sort of impactful series happening. New York is on fire. The energy, the social shift, everything is happening there. But then you have San Antonio. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. A week ago, I had no idea about any of this. Like, I knew about both teams, but I did not know about Wemby, aka the alien, and I am going to pronounce his last name. So it's Victor Wembanyama. I think I say that, Wembanyama. Okay, this is, I am so bad with, he's French. I'm not sure if the name is French, but he's French. And I'm just terrible with pronouncing things. And I had 12 years of French. But Victor Wembanyama is 22 years old. He is 7'4". But it's not just 7'4". Like he's got these ginormous arms that don't look real. It looks like he's like drawn. And it's like what a 5-year-old would draw like a tall person, right? And then like just look at him holding a baseball. And for those of you not watching, he's holding the baseball as if we are holding a ping pong ball. That's it. That's the comparison. If a ping pong ball was in our hand, that's what a baseball looks like in his hand. He's just ginormous and lithe and long, and also what an incredible human. So his parents are also quite tall. His parents are still together. His mom is, I believe, 6'5" or 6'6". I have it in the newsletter. And the dad is like an inch or two taller than the mom. And they created this. Somebody put on Twitter, they did this on purpose. They created this on purpose. He is going to be arguably like one of the most well-known, successful, famous, impactful basketball players in the history of basketball. So it's really incredible to watch. He's also known as the alien. And a little known fact, amongst my friends at least, I'm sure basketball people know this, but that moniker, the alien, came from our guy LeBron. And LeBron had said this, it was a couple of years ago. He said, we're labeling like this unicorn thing. Everybody's been a unicorn over the last few years, James said, but he's more like an alien. No one has seen anyone as tall as he is, but as fluid and as graceful as he is on the floor, making him an alien. And he's remarkable. He is a very different kind of 22-year-old. And I don't even mean basketball player. I just mean 22-year-old. He apparently is very spiritual, but he's very mindful. He loves his mama, as seen in this video.
But you only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hate the road when you're missing home.
I first started playing basketball because of my mom. She used to be a basketball coach for the young kids. I remember being the MVP of every practice with my mom back then. Having fun on those really small mini hoops, you know, kind of what it feels like today now that I grew up.
And I'm going to let this creator tell us all of the things, but actually I'm going to let her tell you all of the things now, and then I'll get into it a little bit.
I've spent the past week explaining to my friends who don't really watch basketball why we as a collective want the Spurs to be OKC in the Western Conference Finals, primarily because of this guy right here, Victor Wembanyama. And like, obviously he's a freak of nature and is going to be one of the best basketball players ever, but a lot of the reason why I like him personally has nothing to do with basketball and more to do with who he is as a person off the court. So here's some things you might not know about Wemby that might make you like him and support him like I do. Starting with the fact that he's a big reader, and apparently instead of like listening to music pregame, he'll like bring a book into the locker room and read instead. And a couple days ago, his teammate De'Aaron Fox said that he'll like come back into the locker room after games in his blue light glasses and like won't pull his phone out after 9 p.m. Also, last summer, he went on this 10-day retreat at a temple in China and like shaved his head and practiced meditation and was like dribbling a basketball up a mountain, all in search of like strengthening his mental fortitude. He's also been known to be very public about crying after games, win or lose. And when he was asked about it recently, he said, "I refuse to carry the burden of hiding my emotions." What 22-year-old, let alone 22-year-old man, is saying something like that? On top of all that, he said in his free time, he likes to draw, build Legos, listen to classical music, and because he was born in France, taught himself as a teenager how to speak English because he knew one day he wanted to play in the NBA. But most importantly, he plays really ethical basketball, and that's why you should support him and the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals.
So I had heard before I grokked who he was about this young basketball player who went to study with the monks and to sort of have a different challenge over his physical and mental state. And he did it on the off season, and he went into this like unbelievable training with these monks. And I don't know really everything that they do, but my very, very limited experience working with monks was when I went to visit a monastery in Japan, and they explained to me that like when they're meditating, they're sitting there for like 23 hours a day, cross-legged. Like they are sitting there, and then that guy walks around with a thing and cracks it on your shoulder to get your central nervous system going. It's like it's crazy. It's so cool. The discipline that they have over mind and their physicality. And he was training with different kinds of monks, and this was in China, and very physical, very emotional, very mental, and that sort of, you know, it reminds me of like back in the day, Phil Jackson, who was the legendary coach of the Chicago Bulls, and he was a deadhead. He was a huge deadhead, and he would like get these guys and pump them up with Jerry Garcia or Bob Weir quotes. Like it's bananas. So there's a little bit of, he's just very different than the other 22-year-olds, his group. But I'm obsessed with him. He's also very devoted to their former coach. I think that's Coach Popovich, who is a legendary coach for the Spurs, and he is still affiliated with the team. I think he's the president of the organization, but he had a stroke a couple years ago, and his health has not been great. And so here you have Wemby talking about his coach.
But what do you think this means for Pop, and how important is it for you to have these moments for him?
I can't answer that question. I don't know what it means for him. That's a guy who's got more experience as a coach than almost anybody. He goes through some things we can't even imagine. So I need to call him. I need to see him. I need to talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, can we bottle him and just sort of like, it makes me feel like the kids are going to be all right. Not all the kids, but the ones that are inspired by him, we're A-okay. We're A-okay. We have a little bit of a 180 when it comes to a sports player, a player of the football named Jackson Dart. And I joked in the newsletter, but he spells his name Jaxson. And like, it's terrible of me to say, but I'm not surprised where this was going. I mean, I'm just going to say he's very cute, very handsome, very like, I don't know, Christopher Atkins from Blue Lagoon days. He is the quarterback for the New York Giants. So we are switching teams here, sports, but now we're still in New York. And he was invited by President Trump to speak and introduce him at a rally. And he did so. And by the way, you know, if the president, no matter who he is, asks you to do something, I understand there may be a call to action. You feel honored regardless of where you stand politically. But we're not in everyday moments. This is a very politically charged world. This is a very unique president. He has made it very clear his feelings on people that are not like him, AKA white Protestant Catholic people. I mean, okay, we can talk about him being not anti-Semitic, if you will, but some would argue that he is. It's not, there's arguably never been a more controversial president, at least in modern times, in our lifetime. And Jackson decided to go and do the intro and got everybody riled up, but he also didn't make it a personal thing to Jackson. He was very much talking about the Giants fans. So just take a listen to what he says when he introduces the president.
What's up, what's up, what's up? Look, Big Blue Nation, it's a pleasure to be here. I gotta start this off with a Go Big Blue. I'd love it if y'all would follow with me. Go Big Blue, go Big Blue, go Big Blue, go Big Blue. What an honor, what a privilege it is to be here. And without further ado, I'm grateful, I'm honored, I'm pleasured to introduce the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump.
So when he did that, you know, effectively he made it as a representative of the Giants, not himself. And that's a really important distinction. If he went out as Jackson Dart, he happens to be the quarterback for the Giants, but makes no reference of that, just uses his own platform as a celebrity to introduce the president, it would have perhaps been taken differently than if he made it seem like he was a representative of the team and therefore the team being there, because not everybody feels the same way about the president as Jackson does. And in particular, we have a very impressive guy. I think I'm so bad, guys. Abdul Carter, I think he's a linebacker. I don't know what any of this means, but Abdul Carter, He's incredible. He's Muslim. And he initially responded to somebody's post about, I think it was on Twitter, when they posted a video of him making the introduction. And Abdul Carter said, thought this shit was AI. What we doing, man? What are we doing? This was quickly deleted, but it's the internet. Everything is captured. So, that's an emotional response. He's emotional. Some people might have a problem with him speaking up, but he spoke his piece. This is a man who's felt, I am sure, marginalized and disliked and fearful for what this president has put out there in the world about people like him. And it became a big hot topic, and people are like, imagine what it's like in the locker room. Imagine what it's like in the locker room. How do you have an effective team leader as a quarterback, and then his sort of protector, the guy, again, I don't know what one does, but you're on the same team. And apparently they were drafted the same year, so that's a very big bond. They are part of the same they came into this together. But listen to what he has to say.
So first off, I want to say that some things are bigger than football, and this is one of those things. Jackson is one of our leaders. He's the face of our franchise. He not only represents himself and what he does, but he represents all of us. And that goes for anybody who wears a Giants uniform. But if he chooses to align himself with a man like President Trump, it's my responsibility, based on what I believe and what I stand on, to not only show my teammates that I'm against that, but to show the world. And that doesn't mean that we have to spread hate. It doesn't mean that me and Jackson hate each other or we have beef. I sit next to Jackson every day, every team meeting, we close, we talk. We just, as long as we make sure we got the same goal as a team and our goals align, which they do, and I feel like that's all that matters. So I just want to move past this, and yeah, that's it.
Pretty impressive. Then you also have a backup quarterback who seems like he's been around a little bit, Jameis Winston, because and if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, but he just seems like the elder statesman in this situation. This man, if he could be our president right now, I am voting for him. I am voting for him. If he were running for mayor of LA, we wouldn't have a problem here. There would be no issue. This man would be mayor of LA. Like, listen to him sort of make sense of it all and explain it to us in such a beautiful way.
I'm about to show you how you turn uncomfortable into a growing moment. I'm from a city, Birmingham, Alabama, where they blew up a church with 4 little girls, and their parents and family had to go around picking up their limbs in the Deep South. Picking up their limbs, 4 little girls. I'm from a city where a little 9-year-old girl who decided to march got put in jail for volunteering her right of free speech, for standing on what she believes in. That's history. And I believe history repeats itself. But I also believe in respecting authority, respecting treating a man and a woman as I would like to be treated. That is how uncomfortable situations and uncomfortable times help unify people, because you know them, you realize from them, and you grow from them. We got a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid and a black Muslim religion black kid who are coming together and showing the world that we can come together. We can happen. We don't have to see everything. Everything doesn't have to be viewed in this perfect little snow globe, and everything doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Jackson said a bunch of words after his response. He looked, again, let me be clear, he looked cute. But nothing he said mattered. It was just like a bunch of words. He could have sat that one out, frankly. Somebody should have crafted a PR response for him. But what's funny is the creators on TikTok in particular. Here's a creator's take on Jackson Dart's PR team right now.
All right, how's Cam Scadaboo doing?
Amazing. He's reading at a 3rd grade level again.
Jackson Dart's in the news again. What? He didn't say the N-word again, did he?
He's the only white guy that can say it.
He brought Trump up at a rally. Oh, no. No.
What's up? I'm Tim, and I run the PR team for Jackson Dart.
Okay, well, we definitely know which halftime show he watched.
You'd think a guy with so many injuries would be a fan of universal health care.
Yeah, with an offensive line that bad, I'd also want to build a wall.
His teammate Abdul Carter just tweeted, "Thought this shit was AI. What are we doing, man?"
No, that gets rid of the AI option.
Hey, and then also, fuck that guy.
John Harbaugh went from coaching Lamar Jackson to Jackson Dart. 2 Jacksons, and I'm pretty sure I could tell you which one said the N-word more. Really hope it's the black one.
So that was good. For those of you watching or not watching, well, for those of you watching, say hi to Chicken. For those of you just listening, Chicken has, the Frenchie has just made her way onto my lap. She's also like a pound heavier than she was last week. She is having a bit of a growth spurt. So anyway, she's just going to sit here for right now. So those are the sports viral moments. I got to say, I really am inspired by a lot of these guys, and I want more of this. And I am going to be watching the NBA Finals, which is not something I typically do, but it's the Knicks and it's the Alien, and I'm really, really into it. I'm not going to talk about it on the pod because I just want to get into some other things, but go to the newsletter because we talk about some political stuff, basically a smackdown of what we call Timu Hitler, which is, I'm not my creation, somebody else's creation, Timu Hitler, aka Stephen Miller, by the official account of the Democrats on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, he responded to the Democrats' post about James Tallarico, who's running for Senate in Texas, and made some transphobic, like ridiculous post about him, who, by the way, is not trans, but that shouldn't matter anyway. And then the Democratic account responded, "Shut up, you ugly fuck." And it's a good one. To find out how it all unfolds, go to the newsletter, which is popculturemondays.com, and read all about it and see some of the funny posts as well as the woman behind the account. But now I want to talk about some really interesting things because I got a lot of feedback on this. I talk about 2 things that are happening in the content world, and we hate that word, I know, but when I'm talking about content, it's like a catch-all. But let's just talk about, I'm talking about movie right now, as well as a trend that's happening in sort of short form content, we'll call it. So right now, the number 1 movie in America is this movie called Backrooms from A24. It's brought in its opening weekend $80 million in the US and like over $110 million globally. This is from a 20-year-old director who is a YouTube star and creator. This is unprecedented. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't familiar with it, but it's called Backrooms. It's like, here's just a snippet of the trailer. I'm not going to show the whole thing.
I found something in the store.
Okay. What did you find?
The place. I found a place.
Okay, but why this is interesting is this is like Gen Z. This is now, first of all, proof that YouTube directly to Hollywood can work. Like, this is a web series that this guy, who is the director of this film, has been known for the last few years. He has, let me just, I forget his name. Oh yeah, Kane Parsons. He is a 20-year-old YouTube star and directed this, but this is based on his web series called the same thing, Backrooms, which is a series about liminal spaces. Liminal spaces, don't you know? Don't you know what liminal spaces are? I did not know what they were. So I turned to Gemini, and this is what Gemini tells me. The word liminal comes from the Latin word limen. Is it limen? I don't know. Which means threshold. In psychology and architecture, a liminal space is a place of transition. It is a physical location that you pass through to get from point A to point B, but it is not meant to be a destination in itself. So think of places like airport terminals at 3 a.m. or empty school hallways during summer break, hotel corridors, abandoned 90s shopping malls. I don't know if these examples are completely right. I feel like they've gone off. But anyway, it's to get from one place to another, but they are not meant to be the destination. You cannot stay. So but what happens if you get stuck? You get stuck in one of those. Here's an example of his show, which now you can see. This is just a snippet. This is from 4 years ago of one of the episodes in his web series. And you can see it really is it represents what the movie becomes. But I'm also going to blow your mind, because what this movie is the concept is a creepypasta. Yes, I know. This is a term you may not be familiar with. So just like a liminal space, I had no fucking idea what a creepypasta was. Actually, that's not true. I had heard of creepypasta, but I hadn't heard it in a while. So let's start with copypasta, which was internet slang that has been used for quite a while around a block of text that gets copied and pasted across forums, chat rooms, and social media. So like text that has been used in like Reddit and across the board, they call that copypasta. Somebody just copied it. It's whatever. That's turned into creepypasta, which is a horror story, urban legend, or myth that gets shared and spread across the internet. You guys remember that horrible story about the Slender Man? That's a creepypasta. The Slender Man, which became like an iconic legend that was born on the internet, that then led this horrible story of this of two girls attacking their friend and nearly killing her, and one having to be obviously institutionalized because they told the world that the reason they tried to kill this girl is that the Slender Man told them to. That's a creepypasta. So now the creepypasta is a hit movie like of the likes of you've seen of a Marvel opening. And I think Gen Z doesn't want Marvel. Like they're sort of that, those movies are starting to fade. Now you're seeing YouTube web series becoming massive films. This is big. Like this is a very big deal. And also he's 20. Like this is not something that just sort of came out of nowhere though. Like he has millions upon millions upon millions of followers. Not everybody loves it. For example, here's somebody who reacted that did not like it.
All right, so we just watched the Backrooms movie. 0 out of 10 movie. It was horrible. There was 0 execution, 0 plot. It's like people are in a 5th dimension, just like don't even know what just went on. So I played the game. I played a lot of games actually. I played the game on Roblox, on Steam. I got the plot and stuff, and it just was not there. Genuinely such a horrible movie. Save your bread. Don't waste it on that movie.
But then here's the guy who explains the discourse around it, which I think is actually pretty spot on. I haven't seen the movie, but I understand this person's perspective.
I hate everything with themes and substance. Why isn't this movie explaining everything to me? Why isn't everything like this freely accessible YouTube series that I can watch at any time? Why is all this new and interesting stuff here? What does metaphor mean?
So people, while there's discourse, people are truly loving the movie.
15-second Backrooms review. Here we go. Set design, unfucking believable. That shit needs to be nominated. Acting, fantastic. Was it spooky? 100%. Do I have any fucking clue what I just watched? No. Literally no clue at all.
And people who aren't loving the movie are still going and talking about it. The other thing I want to talk about are micro dramas. This is a big deal, guys. This is something that you might not have seen. My heart, thoughts and prayers goes out to Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman, the two billionaires, older folks. Even I think are they boomers? They're not Gen X. They're not Gen X. They raised $1 billion to launch this company Quibi back in 2020 that closed before it even launched, with the idea of short form content for our phones and little micro episodes was going to be the future. And they were right. They just did it. They were the wrong people, and it should have come up more organically. And B, where they were going about it a bit differently was that it's very highly produced, going to be famous people, stars. So that's not what's happening. The microdramas are happening. People are watching them. And also Quibi thought that they would turn the content like this and people would watch it. That's an old person thing. People are watching, they're watching vertically, not horizontally. So this is a series created 60 to 90 second episodes, but sometimes 60 or 90 or 120 episodes. So in the whole series. So each episode is like 60 to 90 seconds. This is not high art. This is like, I mean, it's like cable access. It feels like it might be like on the cusp of porn. It's not sexual really, but it just feels like, especially the titles of a lot of the hit shows, like The Double Life of My Billionaire Husband, Infatuated with the CEO, Daddy is the Vampire King. These are really, really big, successful series. It originated in China, the concept and the hit shows, some of them. You can find some of them, some people will record them and put them on TikTok, but they have their own apps and they are huge. And that's Real Short, like REEL Short. Drama Box and Short Max, for examples, are these apps that people are watching these micro dramas. And they're not just from China, a lot of hugely successful ones out of Europe. You're just going to see more and more of this, and they will get more produced. They will actually become, I think, well done, but the kids love it this way.
It's big business in China, reportedly beating its box office in 2024, making about $7 billion USD. And outside of China, the industry is projected to make nearly $10 billion in revenue by 2030. Studios like Disney are already buying in.
I think with the younger generation, they're watching a lot of stuff on their phone, and so verticals are on the rise.
It's got to be scrappy. It's got to feel sort of like organic. Here's an example.
You're quiet tonight, Professor.
What's wrong, Professor?
I'm not your professor.
Whatever, Emery.
Oh, what's wrong with me? I called Deb here to f*** out my feelings, but all I can think about is Ivory, my student. I've got to make it stop.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the last thing that I'm going to sort of just highlight, and I didn't get it into the newsletter. There's just a few of these going around, but I wanted to highlight it, and I think they're growing, and it's really fun. But somebody puts up, when you're in your 50s and you don't know if you should start a new career, go back to school, move to a different country, burn it all down, listening to 90s music while listening to 90s music, or 80s music, sorry, from when you were 14 and felt more alive. There are a lot of people sharing like what they feel about turning or being in their 50s. So check it out on YouTube so you can actually see them, or go to my website, popculturemondays.com, where you can also watch this podcast. And we'll close out with just a few of my, oh my God, we're in our 50s. How are we supposed to be?
I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. I should be hoping, but I can't stop thinking. I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. I should be hoping, but I can't stop thinking. I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. I should be hoping, but I can't
Thank you, Ethan and Joe, for being the greatest producers. Thank you, Chicken, for once again being ridiculous. And Potato, if he's off camera, is at my feet, just off center. And to Live Nation for taking a chance on us and letting this podcast be possible. Thank you.